What it do, people? It's your boy Dre Day Everyday, and today I'm starting a new series called Storyline Gaming. And here I'll basically be talking about the narratives of my favorite games and some of the subplots and just overall all things that go on as to why I'm a gamer, why I play the type of games that I play. Ultimately, and bring some clarity to those that may not be gamers, but they know of the recent phenomenon of people who get on YouTube and watch people play games online. It's like because gaming these days has become such a narrative experience that there are people that may not even be gamers that get on YouTube to watch the storylines play out. The same way you watch your shows on Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, whatever your streaming site of choice is. But today I'm going to be talking about Horizon Zero Dawn, which is one of my favorite games of all time. It is a very, it's one of the most detailed games that I have, it's one of the most detailed games that I have ever experienced, period. The lore, the developers approached the gaming world with a very comprehensive look at history in terms of not necessarily just actual history, but the taking the past, present, and future and evolution of humans, animal life, and technology, and it is so much surrounding details that just went into the building of the world outside of the story as to why this game fascinates me. I'm gonna have major story spoilers in here, so if you're a gamer and you want this to be a fresh experience for you, you may want to exit the video now. If spoilers don't bother you, you can stick around. But Horizon Zero Dawn, I'm gonna try to be concise with this, but it's just so many things working that it's very hard to kind of approach this in a structured way. But anyway, Horizon Zero Dawn, you start as this girl that's named Aloy, and she learns she's born and she's an outcast, and she wonders why she's an outcast. As a kid, you begin controlling her as a kid, and the you're raised by another outcast named Ross. She asked Ross, you know, why are they outcast, or and how could she not be an outcast? Ross informs her about this competition called the Proving, which is somewhat like an obstacle course. Which, well, not somewhat like, it is an actual obstacle course, and it's ultimately a race. And whoever can complete this obstacle course slash race, if you're not affiliated with a tribe, you will be attached to a tribe, and then you can live, I guess, what they would deem as civilized. Another thing about this world, the world is set so far in the future that people have reverted back to a tribal way of living. So if you did not belong to a tribe, you were an outcast, and it was technically against the law to speak to people that were outcasts. Well, whenever outcasts spoke to people of tribes, they were breaking the law. They didn't really speak of if there was an enforcement team that enforced the law or whatnot, but that's spoken about in the game. Anyway, he tells her that to win a Proving it's going to take a lot of training over a course of years, and she's like, I don't care what it takes. I want to learn, and I want to start training. So he trains her for the Proving, and you end up winning the Proving. Upon winning the Proving, most of the contestants end up getting killed, and they almost kill your character, Aloy, but she's saved by Ross. And in that term, he is killed, and so when she comes back to, she wants to know the driving forces of the game is why was she an outcast, and why, and they were saying she was an outcast, she didn't have a mother, but she didn't completely believe that. So she wanted to know why she was an outcast, who was her mother, and who was this the tribe that attacked the proving. And another thing too that becomes prevalent later in the game, there are these data pieces that you come across that are from people of the old world, and they all suggest that the world ended at some of some sort. And then that becomes a fascination because Aloy is like, how could the world end and people exist today? And that's when you learn about uh, the Pharaoh. You begin to learn about the Pharaoh plague and Project Zero Dawn. Also, they wear these devices called focuses. Not everyone, but there are certain tribes that do wear the focus. Aloy ends up finding the focus, but these focuses operate like they're about the size of a Bluetooth. They wear them right there, but when she has them on, she has access to a whole network of information. When she runs into old technology, she can interact with the technology. She can view hologram images that were in conversations that were had from people in the old world. And through the gameplay, she ends up, one of these hologram conversations she ends up running into, she finds a lady that looks exactly like her. It was pretty much, I think the game said it was like a 98% match. And she begins to wonder about this woman. That woman's name is Elizabeth Sobek. And you find out that she's attached to this project called her Zero Dawn. Then ultimately, Zero Dawn, it's masked as a super weapons program. But let me go back. In this world, well, in the ancient world, because they have multiple narratives running simultaneously, things that happen from the old world that are affecting today and what's going on currently. With what's going on currently, there's a program called Hades that is in that is trying to pretty much destroy the world with the old machines, which leads me back to this character from the old world named Ted Faro. Ted Faro was basically the world's first trillionaire in that realm. What he began was a company that began to create machines that initially they began creating machines that protected and preserved life. This is also Elizabeth Sobek. She pretty much spearheaded that because Ted Faro brought her on young, and they both created these machines, and this ultimately got him with high recognition. And that necessarily didn't catapult him to being a trillionaire, but as the company evolved, he wanted to take it to the next level, so he started creating war machines. And when he started creating war machines, this was when Elizabeth Sobek left the company. She didn't want to have any parts of that. When he started making these war machines that were, I believe that, I don't know what they were called under the Pharaoh company. I can't remember, but I believe the Deathbringers and the Corruptors. These machines can self-replicate, and they operate independently, so they consume biomass as fuel. And biomass will basically be anything from the grass to trees, or even as far as dead animals or alive animals. It just consumed it as fuel so it could operate independently in the field. And it would create extra machines as it seemed fit. They were built with high encryption keys, and to make them unhackable, there were no backdoor. There was no backdoor access. So basically, in Pharaoh's mind, this was the perfect machine. It can operate independently. High encryption keys mean that you won't be able to override it. No backdoor, you will not be able to hack it. Unhackable machines that operated independently. Now, so at some point, there was a glitch in the system. The glitch made the machines go rogue to where the actual sub programming of them consuming biomass, it became the programming of their main objective: consume biomass, destroy everything living. And the fact that there's no backdoor access and high encryption, there's no way in and there's no way to stop it. And they can self-replicate, and those rogue machines began self-replicating and began destroying the world, which was known as the Pharaoh Plague. So at this point, the world pretty much is doomed, because these machines are going through consuming all biomass, killing everything in sight. The general of the military at the time, he ends up having to send out a worldwide announcement for people to fight for the cause, and that they had this project called Project Zero Dawn, which would be a super weapons program which would save humanity, which was actually a masked. It was a cover up, because Zero Dawn is not necessarily about being able to save the current world. Zero Dawn was about being able to create a new world moving forward. But when they needed this cover up for them to get human beings to join the army and fight for the cause, and it was a fake motivation, so people would feel motivated to go fight, because if you just told everybody they were going to die, everybody would just sit and wait for their death. They needed that people to fight to buy time for Project Zero Dawn to be fully completed. This is where Elizabeth Sobeck comes in. Elizabeth Sobeck, and Ted Pharaoh, the trillionaire, he funds the entire project, because it's ultimately his doing as to why the world is about to be destroyed. But he brings Sobeck in because he knows that she was about preserving life and things of that nature. So an advanced concept of what they worked on together is what Zero Dawn ended up becoming. So Elizabeth Sobeck took it upon herself to create a true AI, and her thing with the AI was it couldn't just be an intelligence; it had to have emotions. She named it Gaia, and a lot of she named it Gaia, and then she had subordinate programs that were to do other things to help restore life. They're all named after Greek gods, but Gaia was the overall. It would be to some capacity like an artificial god of the world, and had sub programs like Apollo, which would have been the knowledge, Hephaestus, which was the know-how to create whatever type of machinery the world would need, because basically these death bringers and these corruptors, they were going to strip the earth bare. It's going to just turn it into a rock like Mars, because like I said, all the grass is going to be gone, the trees are going to be, everything that's alive is going to be gone. So with Project Zero Dawn, there were going to be machines that go out, that were going to regreen the earth, purify the waters, and make earth habitable again. And then after that process was complete, they had there were babies that were born in cryo chambers, and they were going to, well, not necessarily at that point. It was going to start with the machines. They were going to regreen the earth. Then after the machines, there was going to be actual repopulated wildlife from from DNA samples that had been stored. Those ultimately got destroyed, but this was a part of the bigger plan. And then after that, after the earth became habitable again, then the process of children being born again from cryo chambers. And then after the children were born, Apollo was going to be the program that taught everyone about the past and the previous world, and the whole concept of we need to know history so we don't repeat the same mistakes. And this is what Horizon Zero Dawn is, because they looked at the world. They said that the machines were going to destroy the entire world in, I believe, 16 months. So they started a countdown, 415 days, all the way down to day zero, which will be the day that everything goes completely extinct. And after day, the zero dawn, which will be when which will be whenever the whole process starts taking place of the regreening of the earth, so on and so forth. Also, a sub program to Gaia was Hades, that I forgot to mention. Now, the Hades program it was a fail-safe program as to if the first set of machines, let's say the first set of machines didn't quite do the job right, Hades was just going to come through and eradicate life again to let Gaia start over. Now, what ends up happening is Gaia receives the glitch, and this glitch made Hades operate independently of Gaia and basically start the whole process of destroying the world again. This was after everything has already began to be in motion, because that's why Aloy exists in the current world, in the machines, and so on and so forth. And then you learn of this guy named Silence. And Silence, basically, he helped this tribeless community called the Eclipse. He helped them establish a network over there, and they communicated through their focuses. And he was also doing Hades work, and he was getting knowledge from Hades. And Silence was obsessed with knowledge. A lot of knowledge was lost in the process of the Zero Dawn program. Ted Farrow, which was the guy who funded the whole program and the guy who created the machines that went rogue, he made an executive decision to have the Apollo program erased, which was all of the previous world's life, culture, knowledge, just everything. All of the knowledge had been completely erased. That way, he considered that knowledge a curse. And to some capacity, I believe that this is me throwing a theory in here. This is not a part of the game. I believe that he wanted this information to be erased because what will be attached to all this knowledge is Pharaoh, his company, and his company being what wiped out the previous world. And I believe that he did this to protect his name. The game doesn't say that, but when you play it and you see that him to make that decision, and then he had the 12 alphas killed, and the alphas were the main people who spearheaded the Project Zero Dawn that Elizabeth Sobek had picked out herself. He had them people killed. You learn from Gaia that the reason why Elizabeth Sobek is a match with you is because when she got word of the glitch, when the glitch happened and Hades began to operate independently, she set up a process for her system to self-destruct, which would destroy Hades and would destroy her. But before this would take place, she ordered a reinstation of Elizabeth Sobek, basically taking the gene print of Elizabeth Sobek and making a copy of it, which in turn would be Aloy. And the reason that she created Elizabeth Sobek again because Elizabeth Sobek created her, and that gene print would allow her to enter all of these facilities, these cauldrons, and be able to start the process of Zero Dawn again herself. It was a slim chance, but it was a chance that she felt like that was the only thing that could happen because Gaia had to destroy herself to destroy Hades. But Hades kind of moves around like a consciousness. So I believe that was something that Gaia couldn't predict. But so in this point, Aloy finds out not only that she's pretty much a clone, so she doesn't have a mother, and she finds out that she has a really great purpose, which is to ultimately try to save the world, that help get the AI back on track to where life can continue to exist and keep the rogue machines, because these corruptors, they still existed. And the Eclipse, they pretty much wanted to take these machines and destroy the world. And then Hades was kind of like, the Eclipse looked at Hades like God. Another thing I mentioned about these tribes, you have the Karja, the Nora, the Asaram, and the Banuk, and they all operate with their set of beliefs. Some of those tribes pray to the sun. Some of these tribes believe the machines were gods. Other of the tribes believed that everything that came from the earth, that the earth itself was God. There are a lot of religious undertones to this game. It's just so much to cover that, like, I would be all day speaking on that. But ultimately, you learn that in Silence, when he's basically listening into everything that Aloy is taking in through her focus, because he is obsessed with knowledge, almost to a point where he would do anything for it, to the point to where you don't know if you can trust his character. He helps you out, but he only helps you out because what you're uncovering as the Elizabeth Sobek clone, he could not uncover, because to enter these facilities, he does not have the gene print, and there are no way to hack these. There's no way to get through these certain doors without that particular it's like the clearance that you would need, what's the word I'm looking for? Biometrics. The biometric, he doesn't have the biometrics to clear to enter these facilities the way Aloy does, because she is a clone of Elizabeth Sobek. And basically, you do all that, you find this out, and the Eclipse, they stage like a war to just kind of take down, I forgot what is that? The Eclipse began their whole run to destroy the world, and they start at that palace. I'll get the name of it and put it here for you. And after you go through that all out war, you have to go and you have to destroy Hades, because before anything can begin again, Hades has to be destroyed, because Hades programming basically is just here just to wipe everything clean and destroy the earth once again. So Hades has to be destroyed before anything else can happen. So you go through this all-out war, and you end up purging Hades from, it's like a sphere type device. But when she does it and she gets electrocuted, she passes out, and then when she comes to, they go on to whatever is next for her, which will, I guess, would lead into Horizon Forbidden West, and you see Hades, the consciousness, as almost like something that looks like Ghost Rider, and it flies out of the sphere and flies all the way out across the world somewhere and silence the guy who's been listening to you the entire time. He catches it in his lantern looking thing, and he says something about, you have so much more to teach me, or I've got so much to learn, because like I said, this guy's obsessed with knowledge, and he's walking towards this machine, which the really big machine, which is called, I believe it's called the Horus, and the Horus, I believe that creates machines. I can't cover all of that stuff, but that's ultimately the entire storyline of Horizon Zero Dawn, and I will definitely be covering Forbidden West when it comes out. But there are a few things that was kind of that tripped me out about Horizon was, I had spent, when I beat the game and they spoke about the people born in cryo chambers, and I was wondering, what those people, with her being a clone, was she a human being clone, or if she was a machine clone? That's something that possibly needs to be answered in the next game. And then there were, most of the animals were like, and I saw the technology, the machines that regreen the earth, they were like a mix between dinosaurs and animals. And there were fish, turkeys, and foxes that were actual flesh and bone. So for me, I was wondering if everything was artificial, or if those were actual flesh and bone animals and people. Those are questions that I kind of had in the game. If you have any information on it, if you're a gamer and you know more about it, I'd love to have this conversation in the comments. But yeah, man, Horizon Zero Dawn, that was just the surface. That was the bulk of it. But man, there's this channel called Side Quest Gaming. This He has a very comprehensive, well, I'll put it like this. When I was searching on YouTube for information on the little side pieces, YouTube suggested a lot of his videos to me, so I've watched a lot of his stuff. If you want to learn more about the world, definitely check his page out. There are others too, but I just know that I looked at more of the I believe it's Random Side Quest. I'll have a picture of his page here. But man, if you play Horizon Zero Dawn, I want to know what you think about it, how you feel about it, and if you're excited about Forbidden West. But yeah, that game is just it's so heavy. It blew me away, the concept of being in it, what felt like the past and the past, present, and future all simultaneously. The machines that operated like animals, all the different tribes that had their set of beliefs. I just believe that those developers really did a great job covering everything they tried to cover, looking at people and their behaviors and things of that nature, and putting that into a game experience. But that's all I'm gonna end this here with. I reshot this video like about 4 or 5 times because I didn't know how to approach it. But anyway, to my next one is peace out.